Television is where movies were in the 70s right now, where the inmates have taken over the asylum, and there's a lot of very exciting, interesting stories going on, and that I haven't seen in a long time, but we're taking sort of the vacuum because not so many independent movies are being made these days. And then you can, it's
just strong material, right? I mean, I feel like I'm always attracted to adventurous material.
Yeah.
And if you can expand on that in a serial way, I mean, that's so exciting. That's always what, you know, we're attracted to, right?
Yeah, and it's like, in a way, it's like doing a novel.
Yeah.
Over a long form story.
Well, I've been looking for a series for a long time, and I'm not interested in procedurals. I find them actually very procedural, for lack of a better description. But this show was so exciting and new and innovative and fun and sexy, and the character was so interesting and nuanced and complex and flawed, that I signed on right away. I was the last person to sign on to the show, so these guys were already cast already, so I was more than thrilled. Not even to find out that I had a character that was really something I could sink my teeth into, but also that I get to work with such great people.
I mean, it's kind of such a cliche, but you just kind of want to do good work, really, and I think now there's no sort of prejudice between what medium that is in, if it's television or film or theatre or whatever, and I think actors now go quite fluidly between television and film. So it doesn't matter really, and you know, I didn't want to do sort of a network show which is kind of consumes your whole life, and this I was sent these scripts, and they're so good, and it's like a new world that nobody's really, you know, I was saying before, it's kind of uncharted territory on television. Nobody's really depicted the art world before the auction world, so that was exciting. And then for me, just specifically the character. Was definitely somebody that I'd never played before, so that was a challenge.
Well, I heard Dennis Quaid was involved, and I said, sign me up immediately. It's true, actually. I've been such a big fan of his forever. I adore him. The character is one that I really loved because she is, one of the smartest people in the room, but has to really fight for her position because it's such a man's world. You know, she works for her father. She's constantly trying to prove herself. So I really responded to this kind of strong, tough woman, but also who has a lot of vulnerabilities and, you know, emotional as well.
Yeah, she's really a woman out to prove herself.
Yeah, she
in
is.
The world. It's good.
She's tough, that Roxy.
Yeah, she knows how to party too. She's pretty good about that. And I love the character of Sam Bruckner. You know, he's just himself, and he's lets it all hang out, and you don't get to play a character like this where you have so much fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun to watch.
Because he's either the good guy or the bad guy.
He just is who he is.
Even he doesn't know.
I play Roxana Whitman, and she is the daughter of one of the owners of a big auction house. So this is the world of auction houses, selling art, trading pieces. It really explores the idea of what's valuable, you know, whether it has an emotional value to it or obviously a monetary value. My character is one that's really out to prove herself in this world. She's sexy and she feels confident, at least on the exterior. But what's going on beneath the surface is, you know, a lot of kind of emotional vulnerabilities.
Yeah, Sam Bruckner is, he was a guy from Indiana who was a builder, started out building pod malls there, and then he moved to New York and, you know, all of a sudden he's putting up these big office towers and, over time, and worked his way up to being a billionaire. And, along with that, after you get money, now he wants power. That he wants to be accepted in society, but he's an outsider at the same time. And
I think a lot of the characters are outsiders, and I think that's why they're kind of attracted to each other in a lot of ways. You know, like I know my character, always kind of looks to his character for guidance, and sort of your character really makes my character tick, I feel like.
Yeah, same with you. I mean, I look at you, your character is the one to sort of like soften me up a little
Yeah.
bit.
We soften each other's edges.
It's a world of auction and antiquities, and that would, on the face of it, probably sound not that fascinating for a show, but we pull back the curtain on what goes on behind the scenes in this world. And it's a world filled with greed and people who I met, as I mentioned earlier, are very flawed and morally corrupt, and corrupt in other ways. A character I play is a guy called Arthur Davenport, and he dabbles in illegal antiquities, and he ends up mentoring Christian's character, Graham, and they form a tight bond. I think his character brings a fresh excitement to his world, and so he's excited by taking on this kid who's a little rough around the edges from Bensonhurst, and teaching him the ropes about how the art world works. And it was fun. It was a really fun show to do, and honestly, we got up each day and we're like excited to get the new pages and see what we were going to do. You know?
Yeah, it's very true, and I think we sort of feel very lucky that you know, with the cast that we have, because not only are they brilliant, but we all get on so well, you know. But yeah, you know, Graham is somebody that doesn't really operate within the, you know, by the rules, and he, because he doesn't have any, he has no blueprint of how this world works, and he's, you know, as the show kicks off, he's 9 months into his job, and he came about having the job through sort of illegal, through leveraging, you know, his way into it, through bribing Cary's character. So that's interesting in itself, you know, because there's a suspicion there from other people that work at the firm as to, you know, how he got the Davenport account, and how he, you know, how did he sort of muscle his way in.
More blackmail than bribes, I think.
Right, exactly, yeah, blackmail, yeah. But he's kind of this, you know, the exciting thing for me is that he's very much like a fish out of water. This isn't his world. You know, he has a passion for art, and he has quite an extensive art knowledge that he inherited from his dad and through his own sort of independent research, but he has no formal education. He doesn't have an art history degree, which of course most people who work in the auction world do. And yet he's one of them. He's sort of managed to sort of be, you know, be a part of this elite society. And then of course as the series opens, he's backed into a corner and forced to sort of go down the rabbit hole of corruption and the smuggling, and so that brings a different element. And so my sort of through line throughout the show is to try and keep these two worlds separate, and to stop them from colliding, because if they do, then everything that he's worked so hard to achieve is going to unravel, and he'll be destroyed. So it's very much kind of to, you know, keep swimming, keep, you know, head above water, and keep going for Graham.
It's a very interesting world, and it's, you know, it's actually a world that I've always been fascinated by. You know, this art auction world. And every time there's a story about, you know, this Van Gogh or this Cezanne was sold for this amount, and everybody turns around just to listen to it and shakes their head and goes, "Whoa!" But it's a fascinating world, and you know, it's not just what you see. And here in the news stories, there's this whole underworld to the art world, which has been going on for centuries.
Yeah.
You know, and where it comes from, how it got there, and who done it. That makes it fascinating.
Yeah, it's the sharing of stories, you know, through history, and what kind of value that holds, and how people perceive that, and that's relevant anywhere you are in the world. You know, it's the stories that we're sharing with each other.